And again, in line 39, as you can see here, txt game highest score dot set text my game dot get maximum score plus two double quotes here, txt game lowest score dot set text my game dot get minimum score, okay, plus two double quotes. So now let's actually run our project and see what happens. Okay, so now as you can see, our application is actually running on this emulator here, and as you can see, the name of the game is God of War. The scores of the game are game number 1 45, game number 1 67, game number 1 34. So as you can see here, it's actually reading these values that are actually inside of the index 0 of this game scores array. So inside of this inside of the index 0 of this game scores array, we have this array here. Okay, this is the index 0 that is inside of this game scores array. Okay, and here it's actually reading these values that are actually inside of this array: 45, 67, 34. Okay, so let's see what are the values that are inside of the game number 2. So this is game number 2, 23, 56, 49. Okay, again, as you can see, these are the other values, and we can see these values here. Okay, and the lowest score of the game is 0, and the highest score of the game is 94. Okay, so now let's actually see what's the value of the average of the scores. Okay, so let's go back inside this main activity.java file here, and now I want to actually paste in some lines of code, and then I'll explain to you what's going on here. Okay, so now as you can see, I pasted these lines of code here. Okay, first of all, I declared a string variable called old txt game average value of scores. So here I want to actually hold the value of these txt game average value of scores here inside of this old txt game average value of scores. Okay, the previous values that are actually assigned to this txt game average value of scores is going to be held inside this hold old txt game average value of scores. Okay, and here I actually created a for loop, and inside the parenthesis of this for loop I created a variable of type integer int game index as an assignment operator 0. Okay, until the value of this game index variable is less than the value of the game scores array dot length. Okay, until the value of this game index is less than the value of the length of this game scores array, this loop is going to be executed. Okay, and here I specified that after each execution of this for loop, the value of this game index variable is going to be incremented by 1. Okay, so inside of this for loop, as you can see, first of all, I actually instantiated this object, this variable old txt game average value of scores, assignment operator txt game average value of scores. Okay, so here I referred to the name of this object, to the name of this text view, txt game average value of scores dot get text dot toString. Here I am actually getting the value of this txt game average value of scores text view, and here I want to actually convert that value to a string value. Okay, toString plus game index. Here I want to actually assign the value of this game index variable here. Okay, here I am actually concatenating this value to this with this value game index plus a dash here. As you can see inside the double quotes, I actually put in a dash and a space here. Okay, so now in line 52 I created a variable of type double average value assignment operator, and then I referred to the name of this my game object, and then I called this get the average value of scores method on this object. Okay, so inside this game class, as you can see here, we have actually this method get the average value of scores, and this method actually accepts an argument of type integer array. This is actually a one-dimensional array, and here inside of this method, first of all, I created a variable of type integer total, and then I assigned the value 0 to this method, and then I actually created a for loop here. So this is actually an enhanced for loop, and I said that int score colon scores. So it's going to actually iterate over the values that are actually inside of this scores array. As you can see, this array is actually an argument. Okay, and then it's going to actually assign every one of each value that are actually inside of this array to this score variable, okay? And then it's gonna actually, so after each execution of this for loop, it's gonna actually assign one value, okay, that is inside of the specific index of this array to this variable. And in the inside of this for loop, here we are actually adding the value of this total variable, okay, to this score variable, to the value of this score variable, and here we are assigning that value to this total variable. So here I commented out this line of code because these two lines of code are actually the same, okay? And here I am returning the value of the division of these two numbers, the value of the total variable divided by the value of the length of the scores array, okay? And here inside this main activity.java file, here as you can see, I am actually calling this method on this object. And as an argument, I actually referred to the name of this two-dimensional array, game scores array. And I actually said that game scores array sub game index, okay? So for the first time that this loop is going to be executed, for example, the value of this game index variable is 0, okay? So it's gonna go inside of this array, okay? And as you can see, this is my array, this is my two-dimensional array, and the value that is inside of the index 0 of this array is this array, okay? And this array has these values 45, 67, and 34, okay? And here it's gonna actually calculate the average value of these three values here, and then it's going to assign that value to this variable average value. And then here I am actually outputting that value to the screen. txt game average value of scores dot set text alt txt game average value of scores. Here I am referring to the name of this variable, okay? Plus here I want to concatenate this value with this average value, okay, as you can see, plus a new line character, okay? So now let's actually run our project and see what happens. So here, as you can see, our application is actually running on this emulator. And if I scroll down here, let's see what happens. Let's see if we can see the other values, okay? And as you can see, we can see this value here, okay? The average value of the scores is, so the average value of the scores is, as you can see, this is the index 0. So this is the index 0 here. As you can see, this array is at the index 0 of this game scores array, okay? And this value here is actually the average value of these three numbers here, okay? 45, 67, and 34, okay? Index 1, so this is index 1, and this is the average value. Index 2, this is index 2, okay? And as you can see, we've got other values here, okay? So hopefully that makes sense, and I think that's enough for this tutorial. So if you have any questions, please post the discussion in the course, and then I'll do my best to answer all of your questions. And thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next tutorial.